Hey guys, Ranger here, and I just left the theater from watching the Smurfs. I apologize for the darkness. I'm using my my phone here. I don't have a really good. I don't have a mount in my vehicle to mount my camera here. So I apologize for the rambling. So you're just going to be staring at the screen for a while I give my thoughts on this. Anyway. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love the Smurfs. I gotta say, this Smurfs movie was absolutely wonderful. This Smurfs movie was freaking wonderful. This Smurfs movie was everything that the first film, that the Smurfs film... Okay, let's forget that the first Smurfs and second Smurfs film that came out, where they go to New York in the first one, let's forget those exist, okay? Let's forget that crap exists, okay? This film was brilliant. This film was gorgeous. It focused... The story was that Smurfette was feeling uncertain about herself. She was uncertain about herself and feeling that she didn't really have a purpose. She didn't know what a Smurfette was, because every other Smurf in Smurf Village was good at something. They had a purpose. However, she didn't know what hers was. And so she was wondering about that. She was curious. And she tried a few different things in the movie, but nothing panned out. She wasn't good at being grumpy or grouchy, and she wasn't really good at scientific-based stuff. She wasn't really good at baking cakes. She just wasn't really good at any of that stuff. So she didn't know what her purpose was. And she knew that she wasn't an actual Smurf. She knew that she was an actual Smurf, that she was created by Gargamel. And so, while Smurfette, Brainy, Clumsy, and Hefty Smurf were out in the woods, they end up, Smurfette accidentally ends up nearing the forbidden forest, where she happens to see what she believes is another Smurf. And she accidentally ends up captured by Gargamel, and she is taken to his lair, and he finds out that could be another village. And so Smurfette decides they need to warn this other village of Smurfs. And so she sneaks out to go to the other village to find it. But it turns out Brainy, Hefty, and Clumsy ended up tagging along behind her. And so all four of them end up journeying to find this hidden village. Yes, the Naruto Hidden Leaf Village, okay? No, they find this village, and as it turns out, it's inhabited by all-girl Smurfs. It's exactly the opposite of the original Smurfs village. And it's amazing. I mean, it's really cool, because you see these other female Smurfs, these cute girl Smurfs, and it's interesting, they're different they're different personalities and everything. And so Hefty, Brainy, and Clumsy try to help out, and as it turns out, Clumsy is good at riding a dragonfly, and he kind of catches the attention of one of my favorite of the female Smurfs there, this really tough female warrior Smurf, and he gets the attention of her pretty much, and crack my window here. So then they try to warn the other Smurfs, the other female Smurfs, and as it turns out, Gargamel shows up. Okay, and Papa Smurf shows up, and there's this bit of a connection between Papa Smurf, the leader of the male Smurf village, and I think it's Smurf Willow, the leader of this female Smurf village, and there's a bit of a connection there. They're between them. And so, it's interesting. The shipping fuel was so strong with this movie. My gosh, the fan art, the fan fiction that's going to spawn from this, it's going to be really interesting to see all of this. And then Smurfette, Gargamel shows up. He captures all the Smurfs except Smurfette, because she's not real. Smurfette, she realizes she can use the concept of her not being a real Smurf to her advantage. So she fakes wanting to help Gargamel out, and she manages to absorb his powers that he gets from the Smurfs, and it manages to defeat him. Like, it absorbs all of his powers, and it somehow blasts him off into a different location. And whenever that happens, it manages to restore all the Smurfs who were transformed back to their original selves. But Smurfette sacrifices herself, and she turns back into clay. And so they take her back to Smurf Village, and they manage, and somehow, somehow there was still enough magic left, or maybe it was the power of love, or the magic of friendship, I don't know, that transforms her back into her original self. And I want to assume she maintained all of her memories from what happened before. And so, boom, she was alive. And the movie ended with everyone, male and female Smurfs, celebrating, and that was it. And it was such a good movie. The animation for this film was absolutely gorgeous. I loved it. It was so much better than what it was in the first Smurfs film. You know, the one where they go to New York, which is basically like a movie version of a bad Smurf fan fiction. You know, hey, let's take the Smurfs out of their village and put them in New York City and shoehorn in this relationship between these human characters because that's relevant. This Smurfs movie, Smurfs: The Lost Village, it does everything right that the first film screwed up. The animation is so much better. It looks, whereas the first movie wanted to try to make the characters look more ultra-realistic, this film went the exact opposite route. It was CGI, yes, but it made them still look cartoonish, and it looked gorgeous. It looked cute. The Smurfs looked cute. They did. They looked beautiful in that style. And then the voice acting. I don't remember who the woman was that voiced Smurfette in the first film, but it was not the voice actress this time around. Demi Lovato voiced Smurfette in this film, and she done such a fantastic job. Mechanically, she to me now is the new Smurfette. Like, I can't hear anybody else and not like it really. Because the woman who did Smurfette in the first film was but Demi Lovato did a fantastic job voicing Smurfette here. The other voice actors and voice actresses did a phenomenal job voicing the characters in this. They fit perfectly well. They really blended with each of the characters. I loved how that the female Smurfs were done. How, they all had their each individual personalities. I loved how they did that. And I also loved how they did not do this clash thing like boy versus girl, where like one was more superior than the other. It wasn't like that. They didn't go that route. It was like both were equal. They had their equal strengths and equal weaknesses. And I love that concept. They didn't try to play up one more so than the other. They were equal in that. And I love that. And I also kind of appreciate also the fact that it didn't have, like, the boys, like, oh my gosh, all girls, boys, we're staying here, let's live here. They didn't play that route. They could have easily done that, but they didn't go that route. And so it's interesting. And I really loved the movie. The story was great. Smurfette realized, she managed to find out who she was. And that Smurfette, it's not, like, her name does not define her with the Smurfs, Hefty, being strong and such. She realized that the name does not define her. She is what defines her. She makes of herself what she wants. And that's what she realized. That's what she found out. And she realized, she was able to save both the male and female Smurfs. She was able to save them and defeat Gargamel. And she realized that was her thing. And there was a thing in the movie where she was actually afraid that maybe she still had some evil left in her, that maybe she could not break away from the destiny of being Gargamel's pawn. But it turns out she did. She was able to break free from that, and she proved that she did have her own heart. She did have her own will. She did have her own strength and her own weakness. And it was normal. And I loved how, again, I love the animation. The animation for this film was gorgeous. I truly love the animation for this film. A heck of a lot better than the bad animation for the first film. The one where they go to New York. Gargamel was CGI in this one right here, and it's so much better. He looks so good in CGI as opposed to the human version of him in the first movie. Now, again, props to the actor who tried to portray Gargamel in that. Props to him for trying. But seriously, whenever you try to get someone human to try to play a cartoon character, it doesn't work out often. And again, it worked in this film. I mean, I'm glad they went with all CGI. There was no humans except for Gargamel. They did not shoehorn in this ridiculous romance between these two people. It was focused on the Smurfs. And this film is exactly what the first film should have been, but it was not. It took us 3 Smurfs films before they finally got it right. And this one blows the other 2 out of the water. You know what? Honestly, I didn't even watch the second Smurfs. After the first Smurfs, I said, screw it, I'm not watching the second one because it's probably going to be as bad as the first. And so, I mean, if you like the first and second Smurfs film, okay, cool, fine. You know, that's great. I'm totally fine. I'm not being picky. I'm not being judgmental. But this film, I absolutely loved. I really loved this film. It was great. I loved the characterization with the characters. I loved how they portrayed Smurfette. Like, they didn't portray her to be like this ultra strong, you know, female type. They portrayed her to be normal. Like, she was cute, she was funny, she loved having adventure there, she loved having fun, but she had her weaknesses as well. And they played her as being a normal individual, just like the rest of the Smurfs, you know. And they didn't play it as like one was better, one was stronger than the other. They didn't go that route, and I'm really glad they didn't. They played her to be normal, a normal individual with normal strengths, normal fears, normal hopes, normal dreams, normal weaknesses, and that's what worked. That's what worked for this film, for every one of the characters. And I adored this film. Like, this was one of just a few movies that I found out was in theaters, and I was so excited to get to see it, because I really hoped that it would be good. And it was great. It was so great. And bonus, I went to the 9 o'clock showing of it, which was in 2D. I didn't want to see the 3D. Nothing against 3D, but I still prefer the 2D version. And I was the only one in the theater. I was the only one in the whole theater. Whatever they call it. The whole cinema. Yeah, sorry, the entire cinema. I was the only one in the entire cinema. I was the only one there, so I got the benefit of being able to watch it and it just be me. But again, I absolutely loved this film. It was so good. It was great. The characterization with each of the characters were great. I loved how they portrayed Smurfette in this one. Like, I think, if I'm correct, in the first film, she's more portrayed to be, may I say, like the ultra feminine kind of type. I mean, they even had that play where she did a thing similar to Marilyn Monroe. This film, she was a normal character. She was like a normal cartoon character. She was a normal individual, and I loved how they did that. Like, they didn't downplay, they didn't overplay it. They played it just right. They did it right in this film. And the rest of the Smurfs in the first film. Oh, and again, George Lopez wasn't nowhere to be seen in this film. Okay. Now, again, you know, George Lopez might not be a bad actor, okay? Or he might not be a bad actor, but, him voicing one of the characters in the first film, it just didn't work, okay? I'm sorry. Actually, no, I'm not. It didn't work. This film, George Lopez nowhere to be found. The voice actors, each of the voice actors fit the characters. They did great with the roles. They did great with voicing the characters. I freaking loved how they did it. I freaking loved the characterizations and the character personalities for it. I mean, each of the characters fit. The personalities were down pat. They were great. They played well with their characters. They didn't overplay it. There was great dynamics between each of the characters. There was that constant little bickering thing between Hefty and Brainy. But at the same time, there was that brotherly love kind of concept going on between them, you know. And it was great. Like, they played it great. And then Clumsy was just clumsy. But at the same time, it was comical. Like, it was comical clumsy. And again, I freaking loved how they did this movie. I really adore this movie, and it was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. And I'm really hoping that this movie does great in theaters, because this film, I would have to say, I would definitely recommend this film. And this is coming from someone who hasn't really seen anything with the Smurfs in a long freaking time, okay? And again, I love this film. It was so cool. I loved it. The animation was great. The voice acting was great. The characterizations and dynamics were great. And the music was great. Like, Eiffel 65, I'm blue, da dee da die. It was in this film, like a 90s pop culture thing, and it fit. I mean, come on. How could you not think of the Smurfs and not think of that song? It fit. And so, I mean, I was bobbing my head whenever that came on, okay? I was bobbing my head whenever that came on in theaters. And again, I absolutely love this film. So, I'm almost home now, so I hope you guys enjoyed my rant. Please let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Sorry again for the darkness. I hope you don't mind that. But again, thank you guys again for joining me. Yeah, if you haven't watched the Smurfs, please go watch it. Again, if you don't like it, that's totally fine. I understand. But I really think there's a lot of great stuff in this movie. Like, this isn't it's Smurfs, it's a cartoon, it's a kid's movie. Nah. No, it's not. It's a gorgeous film. It's got some great character development with the characters. It's got some great stuff in it. And I'm really hoping that they do a sequel. Like, that's the only complaint that I have with the film, is that they could not spend more time in the Smurf Village and show more development with the characters of the female Smurfs. Not that they had bad development, as it were. Like, there was enough development to get good. To show really well with the characters. But I'm really hoping that they do a sequel and branch off of that, because there's so much potential now. Because there's male and female Smurfs. There's so much potential, man. There's so much. And so I really hope they do a sequel to this. Sony, please do a sequel for this film. This was a great film. And like I said, Demi Lovato did a fantastic job as Smurfette. All the voice actresses did a fantastic job. They are the definitive voice actors for these Smurfs. I won't believe anything different, man. I won't. But again, hope you guys enjoyed my rant. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you got to see the movie, let me know what you think in the comments below. Again, sorry for the darkness. Hope you guys enjoyed. But thank you guys again for joining me. And hopefully I will see you guys in the next video that I do. Take care.